Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. And as you've heard me say many times before, not the video I was intending on putting up today. Life got quite busy near the middle of this week and towards the end, and I simply didn't have enough time to put together any other build or any other footage for that matter. So this I had finished up at the end of last week and into the beginning of this week, and it was intended as part of a final wrap-up for trying to get more water flow to go through a pipe system using air. Now, not just, at the surface, but actually get it to go up any amount of distance. And I was going to put this up in a few weeks. I had other things in mind for this week, but this is all I have. So the good part is there's actually some interesting results here. I wanted to do a couple more things to show you the new direction I think I want to go for this. But we'll talk about that as we go along. What I'm going to do here is combine two videos. About 8 months ago I did an air power lift system which used a smaller diameter pipe and lots of tiny little holes and a cuff that went around that. And I injected air into the cuff, and that cuff then dispersed small bubbles into the pipe, and that created a fair amount of lift. And actually it got really good results. And then you've seen the results I've done for the cone system. That's what I've decided to call it. And it's getting pretty good results as well. So I thought what I would do is combine the two. Now, I don't have a piece of Delrin that's greater in diameter than that pipe because it's very expensive. It's probably in the neighborhood of about $30 a foot to buy that stuff, and I simply just didn't want to do that. Now, this piece of half-inch, the half-inch plate I got here, I got almost for free when my plastic supplier decided to move from downtown out into an industrial park out in the edge of town. And they wanted to, instead of moving stuff, they wanted to get rid of a bunch of it. So this has been sitting in the shop for like forever. And as you've seen me do with acrylic, I'm going to take two pieces of this, and I'm going to make, obviously cut it square initially, and then I'm going to make it into two round pieces. The other result of having limited footage to show you is there's going to be a couple people who are me quite happy. Normally I cut out an awful lot of the machining steps because I thought they were getting a little repetitious, but a couple of people wanted me to show more of that aspect of it. So today, hopefully you guys are going to get your fill. So what I've done here so far is I took the larger sheet of Delrin and I cut two squares. I overcut them so that they're big enough that in case the hole I put in the middle of them, another step I didn't actually show you, ends up not being quite in the center, but that by the time I actually round this out and get it to the size I want it, it will still be more than large enough to leave me material around the edges to do the rest of the machining. So here we are, we're at pretty much the beginning step for getting these blanks into two sides of the cuff that's going to go around that pipe there. So I'm just going to true up the sides just because the center part, the part that where the two pieces come together, that part actually has to be machined really flat. And the reason for that is you don't want any air escaping. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to machine this out to a very tight friction fit that's going to go around that larger diameter pipe. Whenever I machine these older pieces of Delrin, I'm always amazed because it doesn't seem to actually ever deteriorate with age. And we're talking about 15 years. I mean, that's a considerable length of time for most materials, but in this case it's no big deal at all. So here I've got the friction hole done, and I originally was going to set this up to machine further out from the head, but I realized that it wasn't really necessary because I'm going to be only machining down to a certain point, so I ended up putting it right up against the back. It gave me a lot more support and ended up with a much nicer finish to it as well, which is kind of cool. So here you go, I've done both sides. That's the center hole. That's where the air pressure is going to build up and enter the holes. And all I need to do now is put two holes for the quarter-inch airline into this one. and also drill the holes into the large diameter piece of pipe. And also, I needed to also figure out what length I was going to do. I didn't want to do a short one, and I didn't really want to do the really long one either, so I just arbitrarily actually picked something roughly in the middle. So this is the finest drill bit I have, and I'm going to just drill a whole pile of holes around the rim. But one of the things I was thinking about while I was doing this is this chamber is an awful lot larger than the one I had done before. And that the problem with that is the larger the space, the greater the air pressure I'm going to require. So instead of drilling a ton of holes, I decided to just start off by putting enough holes that it will supply air all the way around it, and then I was just going to go with that initially and see how it worked out. So this is just a matter of loosening the clamp and rotating it and tediously drilling the rest of the holes. And here we go. It's didn't take actually that long, and they turned up they all turned out reasonably well. Obviously they're the same size, but also seem to be relatively in the same plane as well. And I also drilled a small hole for the airline fitting to go in. Now what we need to do here is edge that on, and I want the holes to be centered on that line between the two cups, and then this is a simple matter of hooking up the airline after this. It actually wasn't really that hard to build. I had to be a little bit careful because that's all the half-inch Delrin I have, and I don't think I could afford really to buy much more, so I don't really want to go throwing it away. So I'm glad this actually got done in one go. Because sometimes, especially when it's hot like it's been, you'll notice like there's, in some of the shots there seems to be a lot of wind in here. That's because I had a fan blowing on me constantly. It's kind of hard to think when you're sweating all the time, so it was, anyway, it was just, I didn't want to make a mistake. So there you go, it's all set up. And now it's a simple matter of using I haven't actually taken this barrel apart yet. I've wanted to use it, like I said, I had these ideas in my head, so I figured I'd just leave it sitting there. And here we go, we're going to hook these up. And as I said, I was making this, this requires an awful lot of air pressure. So this is the same pressure as when I said, when I hooked this barrel up last time and I was saying it's unrealistic. This is actually at the unrealistic air pressure again, because it won't work to this extent without having this amount of air coming through it. It's required. But it is shooting water up pretty much a foot in the air, just as is here. And when you move it a foot out of the water, it is still actually flowing quite well. This really does work well, but as I said before, it's unrealistic. You'd have to run a pond air pump on this to get this to work, and it's just not practical. And the thought I had, which unfortunately I can't go into right now because I didn't get any of it done, is to go a slightly different direction, actually a completely different direction, but I'll have to save that for another time. So I'm going to hook this up one more time with that much thinner pipe, just to see how that shoots up, and then that's pretty much the end of this video. I have one other little clip at the end I want to show you. How a lady asked me to use a smaller diameter pop bottle and try this out, and I did that as well. So if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and definitely let me know in the comments below if you like having all this machining included. Just let me know. I mean, I always listen and I always answer, and your feedback is actually really, really important. So there you go, this shooting up over a foot in the air. And the thing is, the spurts were actually bouncing off the ceiling. It was kind of funny. But again, this is really not practical in any way, shape, or form. And there you go, that's 2 feet that is moving water. And of course it's just intermittent, but that's actually kind of cool. So here, the last little clip is going to be a much smaller diameter pop bottle and 2 airline tubings, regular airflow, and unfortunately something about the shape, it just doesn't work. There's nothing special about it one way or another. I think you need all the little intricate steps and other stuff in there. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, And I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.